Hi, you all. Amy Hoosier Diver here. I know I said I was coming on this weekend, but I was going to go live, but I'm doing this instead because I really wanted to collect my thoughts. And I don't want to ramble, but there's been a lot that's been on my mind. So I'm going to do a couple videos. This first one is all about ICE, specifically what happened in Minneapolis with Renee Nicole Good. First of all, condolences to all her family and friends. And if everybody could please keep them in your prayers, that would be awesome. Because this is one thing I think that's important to point out is that it's good her name is being spread around and this is not being ignored. So that is the good part of it. The bad part is her family and kids. This is still going to be like on YouTube, on on media, on the internet 10, 15, 20 years from now. So this stuff will keep coming up for them, which is not a good thing. So just please keep them in your prayers. But pretty much I am very pissed off, and I'm going to try to keep my language very clean because just in case there are kids watching this. But if I do slip a couple cuss words, I'm warning you now. So view accordingly. But this really pissed me off because right shortly after Renee was murdered, and yes, I'm saying murdered, that, President Trump, Kristi Noem, was just like, that the ICE officer feared for his life was dragged and, just was in the hospital and just was amazed he was alive after being dragged. Well, he was not dragged. Okay. And then she was some kind of radical leftist who was causing problems, and because she didn't listen to the ICE officer, therefore it was justified that she was murdered. Okay, couple things here. Various reports were saying that various ICE officers were telling her to back up. Others were telling her to leave. Others were telling her to get out of her car. Which one was she supposed to be following if you're being told all these different things at different times? Second of all, that police officer positioned himself in front of a vehicle. Any credible, police officer, law enforcement, any training will tell you do not place yourself in front of a car or behind a car. Like they used to do kind of like an L or a V shaping. So that is one issue right there. Second of all, if you look at the frame, he was shooting on an angle. After she was turning the wheel to, get to go away. And anyhow, also, I mean, if he was telling her to get out of the car, just because she wasn't getting out of the car, that's okay to murder her? No. Okay? Um, and if you see in the video too, there's a couple times that, okay, for her being a so-called radical leftist, and I'm using that in quotes, why does she say that, I'm not mad with you, and she was motioning the other ICE people to go? That does not sound like an extreme radical leftist that is out to injure the ICE agents. Okay? So, what else do I have here? Yeah, and it was shot multiple times more on the side of the car. Okay? And also, too, again, law enforcement officers, which I do not call ICE law enforcement based on how they're acting, are trained in de escalation skills. no de-escalation was used. Okay. Also, too, there is video there that after she was shot, there was not a police officer, a person that identified himself as a doctor, and he was not up against the police, up against the ICE, but away, hands up, and like, I'm a doctor. Can I please go check her pulse, help her? And the ICE, no. He's like, please, I'm a doctor. Let me help. No, we're having ambulances are coming. They weren't coming. And the ICE agents who did the shooting was also previously accused of shooting Miramar Martinez in Chicago, which again the courts ruled there was no she was not inciting anything. Okay. And Martinez was shot 5 times because she was supposedly ramming ICE agents. But a body camera worn by a federal agent showed federal agents ramming into Martinez. And the case was dismissed from the courts. Okay. Okay, and then another thing too, the ICE agent who did the shooting, they were saying previously that he was dragged for several feet. Well, first of all, his hand was in the arm of a vehicle. He used a taser gun twice on the person in the vehicle. So when you're being tased, your hand is on the foot and the wheel. You're still going to go for a little bit. And also, too, just because that happened, and they're saying, well, he had, he was heightened, he was more heightened for danger and to defend himself based on that experience. Well, if you have PTSD or something like that, okay, that gives you the right to shoot and murder someone? No. And this is the one thing I want to make very clear. For those of you who may not know me that well, I have a bachelor's in criminal justice. Excuse me. I also have a cousin who was killed in the line of duty. So I do value law enforcement. I do not value or support law enforcement, that murders others. That is not law enforcement. Okay? I am angry and frustrated that supposed law enforcement, which ICE is not law enforcement to me, is terrorizing and murdering human beings. It is hold on, I'm losing track here for a minute. It is acceptable to non-violently, peacefully protest, and the key thing is non-violently, peacefully. It is not okay to have their anger turn to violence towards ICE, because this is what Trump and his administration and his supporters, Homeland Security, FBI, wants us to do. They want our anger and frustration to turn violent towards them. That is what they do. We are not going to do what they're doing. So peacefully protest, y'all, please. And peacefully protesting, write in your congressmen, your senators, House of Representatives, being involved in peaceful protest, speaking out on social media, speaking out with family and friends, and for whatever reason, let's say you can't do all those, even praying to me, you're still doing something. Because this madness and insanity needs to stop. this is not the America I was taught about in schools. This was not the America I grew up in. America is a place where we can disagree, but we don't use the government to terrorize or murder citizens or even immigrants. You know, our country was built on immigrants. Okay? So, I don't know. I'm not sure and I will say, like tonight we had a peaceful demonstration in South Bend, Indiana, over what happened in Minnesota. There was over 100 of us. Again, peaceful protest visual. Peaceful. So, and right now, I don't know if you all know about this too, but ICE is also going door to door looking for illegals or some others excuse to even go after citizens. Because again, even if you're not an immigrant, if you disagree with Trump and his administration and ICE and FBI, you're a target. Okay? That's the way this is right now. Oh, and then don't forget the Minneapolis, and I think what the other day happened in Oregon. Just the FBI will be investigating. They're not sharing this with the police there in those states. So the other thing is, can we really trust what the FBI finds? I don't know. Sorry, Winnie's barking now. So anyway, I have one last thing to say in this. And right now, I wish Winnie wasn't barking because it's not helping with what I want to say. But, hold on, guys. Winnie. Sorry. Okay. I want to say this loud and clear. I am not scared to speak out. I am not scared to non-violently, peacefully protest. Silence is consent. As Americans, we have freedom of speech and freedom to peacefully, non-violently assemble due to the Constitution. Trump and his administration will not stop this. Thank you.